Quarterly estimated taxes confuse a lot of freelancers. When are they due? How much should you pay? What happens if you miss a payment? In the next 8 minutes, I'll show you exactly how to calculate your quarterly taxes, when to pay them, and how to avoid penalties in 2026. Note, this information applies to US-based freelancers and self-employed individuals. Welcome to the Freelancers Wealth Blueprint. Let's take the stress out of quarterly taxes. First, who needs to pay quarterly estimated taxes? If you expect to owe $1,000 or more in taxes when you file your return, you're required to make quarterly payments. Since freelancers don't have taxes withheld from their income like employees do, this applies to most of us. The IRS expects to be paid throughout the year, not just in one lump sum in April. Here are the 2026 quarterly tax deadlines. Quarter 1 covers income from January through March. Payment is due April 15, 2026. Quarter 2 covers April and May. Payment is due June 15, 2026. Quarter 3 covers June through August. Payment is due September 15, 2026. Quarter 4 covers September through December. Payment is due January 15, 2027. Notice that the quarters aren't equal lengths. Q2 is only 2 months. Mark these dates in your calendar because missing them triggers penalties. Now let's calculate how much you should pay. There are 2 main methods: the current year method and the prior year safe harbor method. Method 1, the current year method. Estimate your total income for 2026. Then calculate your expected taxes, including both income tax and self-employment tax. Self-employment tax is 15.3% of your net earnings. That covers Social Security at 12.4% on the first $184,500, plus Medicare at 2.9% on all earnings. Add your income tax based on your expected bracket. Then divide by 4 for equal quarterly payments. Here's a quick example. You expect $80,000 in net self-employment income. Self-employment tax, $80,000 times 92.35% times 15.3% equals roughly $11,300. For income tax, after the standard deduction of $16,100 and half of your SE tax deduction, your taxable income is around $58,250. At 2026 tax rates, that's roughly $7,800 in federal income tax. Total estimated tax, about $18,800. Divide by 4, and your quarterly payment is approximately $4,700. Method 2, the prior year safe harbor. This is simpler. Look at last year's total tax bill. Divide by 4. Pay that amount each quarter. The IRS won't penalize you if you pay at least 100% of last year's tax liability through estimated payments and withholding. But here's the catch for higher earners. If your adjusted gross income last year exceeded $150,000, you must pay 110% of last year's tax to qualify for safe harbor. So if you owed $20,000 last year and your AGI was over $150,000, you need to pay $22,000 this year to avoid penalties. That's $5,500 per quarter. Which method should you use? If your income is similar to last year, the prior year safe harbor is easiest. You know exactly what to pay, and you're protected from penalties even if you end up owing more. If your income is significantly higher this year, use the current year method. Paying based on last year could leave you with a huge balance due in April. If your income is lower this year, also use the current year method. Why overpay throughout the year when you could keep that money working for you? Now, how do you actually make the payment? Option 1. IRS Direct Pay. Go to irs.gov/payments. It's free, instant, and you can schedule payments in advance. Select Estimated Tax and the tax year 2026. Option 2. EFTPS, the Electronic Federal Tax Payment System. You need to enroll first at eftps.gov, but once set up, you can schedule recurring payments. Option 3. IRS2Go app. The official IRS mobile app lets you make payments directly from your phone. Option 4. Mail a check with Form 140 ES voucher. This is the slowest method and not recommended, but it works. I recommend setting up automatic quarterly payments through EFTPS or scheduling them in advance through DirectPay. Never rely on remembering the deadline. What happens if you miss a payment or underpay? The IRS charges an underpayment penalty. For Q1 2026, the interest rate is 7% annually, compounded daily. That adds up. The penalty is calculated separately for each quarter you missed or underpaid. Even if you catch up later, you still owe penalties for the quarters you were short. Here's how to avoid penalties completely. Option 1. Owe less than $1,000 when you file. If your estimated payments plus any withholding cover all but $999 of your tax bill, no penalty. Option 2. Pay at least 90% of your current year tax through estimates and withholding. Option 3. Pay 100% of last year's tax, or 110% if your AGI was over $150,000. Meeting any of these safe harbors protects you from penalties, even if you owe additional tax when you file. Let me give you a practical system for managing quarterly taxes. Step 1. Set aside money with every payment you receive. I recommend 25 to 30% for most freelancers. Put it in a separate savings account labeled Taxes. Step 2. At the start of each quarter, calculate your payment. Either use last year's tax divided by 4 or estimate based on current income. Step 3. Schedule the payment at least a week before the deadline. Don't wait until the due date. Step 4. Track your payments. Keep records of confirmation numbers and amounts paid for each quarter. Step 5. Reconcile quarterly. Compare your actual income to your estimates. Adjust future payments if you're running ahead or behind. One more tip. If your income varies dramatically throughout the year, you can use the annualized income installment method. This lets you pay less in quarters when you earn less, and more in quarters when you earn more. Use Form 2210 to calculate this. Here's the bottom line. Quarterly estimated taxes aren't optional for most freelancers. The deadlines are April 15th, June 15th, September 15th, and January 15th. Use the prior year's safe harbor for simplicity. Pay 100% of last year's tax or 110% if you're a higher earner. Set aside 25 to 30% of every payment. Automate your quarterly payments, and you'll never stress about tax deadlines again. For more on calculating your actual tax liability, check out our video on how much freelancers really owe on 65K income. Link in the description. See you in the next one.